Yeah, Chakri, you can start.
Uh, okay, I hope we have everyone. So, very good evening, everybody. We'll look at creating a chatbot for COVID 19. I hope you're all doing fine. I'll I'll try to keep this session a bit interactive. We'll have short intervals where I tell you about what I did on IBM Watson Assistant and Discovery News. And every 15 minutes or so, let's have a small chat. I request you to take a note of your questions and ask me at the end of every 15 minutes burst. Okay. So before starting with our presentation or our session, I'd like to um, give a short note about what is Mittal Technologies and what do we do. So Rupesh here is the founder of Mittal Technologies, and you might have heard about Mittal Technologies as you have come this far. So we offer workshops and trainings in schools, colleges, and government offices and corporates. And these are the courses that we usually talk about and teach. And there are a lot of resources on the website and also on the news. If you're following the statuses of Rupesh, that the latest initiative was Cyber Jagriti. As you all might have noticed, it is going on very well. It is a huge success. We also do workshops at national and state level colleges every year. We provide summer training, winter training, and various places throughout the country and even outside the country. We also manufacture our own robotic kits. We have an in-house R&D cell for making new products, and I personally have experience of 2+ years with Mittal Technologies. So let's look at a few pictures. These are a little old but very relevant. This is from the winter school and some press attention that we have received. So it all started in 2017 in Osmania University by a group of friends, and then it spread across to VNR, VJIT, and government institutions, and has reached more than 5,000 plus students now. I think that is right, Rupesh. That number might have increased by now. Even this is stats for
Yeah, it's
last year.
2020, so we have crossed more than 10,000 plus students by now.
Yeah, so that is the pace in which we are going. So with that, I'll start with um, IBM Watson. Let's take a look at IBM Watson. So you might already have heard of IBM Watson before. I just would want to touch upon what IBM Watson is, just for the sake of completeness. Okay, so IBM Watson is a group of services that IBM offers on cloud. So it has Watson Assistant, which is chatbot service, Discovery News, which is question answer based service, and a lot of other services that we are going to look at shortly. Um, if you have an idea about what AWS is, and IBM Cloud is the same thing in IBM, and IBM Watson is the name that they have given for a group of services. I'll log in. So for this, you may need, if you want to follow along, you need to set up your account with IBM Watson. So I have created. It is a there is a free choice. I mean, there is a free option to create an account on IBM Watson. You can get the services for free on light account, but you will be the resources will be limited. So let me log in. So meanwhile, if you want to create your own login, please feel free to do so. You can very much follow along. I'll not go at a very fast pace. The target is to understand what is going on, and if you could follow along and also make it on your own, it is even better.
Give me a minute, checking. Yeah. So guys, so if anyone is having any kind of questions or anything, right? So please do use the chat option. So if you can text back in the chat option, so that Chakri can reply back to you, and if you want any corrections, anything, we can help you out. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you for that, Rupesh. Okay, so to give you an overview of what we'll be building today. So before going forward, I'll just introduce myself in a few words. I am Sri Chakradhar Reddy. I am a master student at UMKC. I am my research or my interests are mainly based on natural language processing. You can reach out to me on Twitter or GitHub. You can look at my repositories on GitHub, or you can shoot me an email if you have any queries after the session. That is my email there. So now I'll start with I'll show you an overview or the architecture diagram of what we'll be building today, and that we'll be looking at how to create a chatbot and integrate that with Slack, which is a team collaboration tool, and and another tool called another service basically called Node-RED, which which is a service which allows communication between different channels or online entities, let's say. We use it mainly for integrating the chatbot with IBM speech to text and text to speech. And okay, this is the architecture that we are gonna be following today for the chatbot. So Watson Assistant, if you look at the number 5, Watson Assistant is a service that is the real chatbot here, is the actual chatbot. And it what it does, is based on the input that the user gives. It tries to classify the input and try to identify what the user is talking about. It is called an intent, which says, so the user is talking about so and so. I'll explain you more when I open the corresponding page on IBM Watson. So for now, let's think about Watson as the chat assistant. So, and that chat assistant is gonna communicate with IBM functions, which call an API called COVID-19 API. We'll look at it shortly, and also Discovery API, which is like a service which provides you answers based on uh, the news IBM collects, the daily news. And also it has integration with Node-RED for text-to-speech and speech-to-text, and this integrates user uses the chatbot through Node-RED. So to start with, I have a couple of services that I have created here. Because I have created them already, you might not see the same screen when you start with an empty, environment. But let's take a look at what's been there, because otherwise we'll be ending up with putting a lot of time into waiting upon things uh, till things become active. So I thought it is a better idea to create things beforehand and then show you. So here is the service, the IBM Watson service, IBM Watson Assistant service. So you can create uh, only one of these services using your light plan. So as of now, I do not have any professional plan or normal plan, so I'm using a light plan. It allows you to pretty much do all the things that you want to do with chatbots. But there are a few limits, like very high limits, 10,000 calls per hour, and limits on the number of users and something like that. We are at the first 15-minute mark now. Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask a few questions if you have any, or type your questions into the chatbot. I mean, not the chatbot, just the chat. Okay. Okay. So, uh, a, a chatbot in IBM Watson is characterized by something called the dialogue, and a skill is I have two skills here. If you look at the IBM Watson workspace that I have, bookworm is one of the skills. Skills just means, like, if you know how Alexa works, you're just going to say, "Hey Alexa, how is the weather today?" So what Alexa does in the background is it invokes something called the weather skill, and that skill is has the information or the code that is responsible to go to the API, which tells you about the weather and fetch weather and give you back the result. So the same way, bookworm is one of the skills which I have created as a part of my Udacity course. So this chatbot is going to answer questions based on the text from different books. And what's an assistant uh, COVID crisis communication? This is the chatbot. This is the skill that I've created for COVID-19. Okay, do we have any questions? Okay, okay, we have um around it. Um, Okay, this is more of show and tell that I wanted to make. The skills. Okay, answering Arun's question, I'll show you how to do it. I'll give you a demo for sure. After I show you like what is already there, and to answer Prithvi's question, the skills, the skill is just a JSON file. It consists of all these things called intents and the questions. So yeah, there are a couple of or few skills available on GitHub, definitely, but they are not like in a published, or they don't look like some executable files. They just look like JSON files. So whenever you can import those files, I'll show you how to do that just in a while. So if you look at the uh, you know the layout here, you have something called intents, entities, and dialogue. So these are the three main components of any chatbot, not just IBM Watson. You have the same structure if you go to Dialogflow or bot framework or whatever it is, or Rasa open source or whatever it is. So let's look at what is an intent. So intent, like I said, is the category which bot identifies from the input the user gives. So let's say for our COVID-19 chatbot, we want the bot to answer any question based on animal contact. And few examples of those questions would be like, can I get COVID-19 from my pet? Or the same way of asking that is like, can I get this from my cat? Do dogs and cats get sick from coronavirus? Should I avoid contact with pets or other animals if I'm sick with COVID 19? So, these questions fall under the same category, and that category is nothing but animal contact, is what we decided to categorize it as. So, once the bot identifies this as the intent, the, it allows us to take further steps. IBM Watson Assistant is a cloud-based service, Arun. Yes, it is. It is cloud. You cannot run it on local, if that is what you mean. So I'll give you another example here about let's say what is COVID-19. We'll be looking at how many cases today later in my presentation. So I guess you got an idea. Do we have option to integrate with Messenger or Instagram? We have an option to integrate with Messenger. We'll be looking at it shortly. To answer Arun's question, I guess I did not um get it right, but yes, it is regarding security. IBM is being deployed all over China and Japan in hospitals as medical. Most of the companies in medical field have adopted it. I'm thinking that it is pretty much secure. And yeah, let's go with creating a new intent and adding few questions to that. So if you see here, this is a basic question you can say. um, so you create an intent by clicking here to create an intent. Let's say let's ask a question like who are you. Intent name cannot have spaces, so we'll say about me. So here I can add user examples. This can include who are you, what is your name, what do you do. Okay, so after you add this, you can go here and you can test the bot. It needs to get trained The training is automatic. It gets triggered. It should get triggered in some time. Meanwhile, I'll ask what is COVID-19. So because the bot has been trained before on this intent, it gives us a response about the COVID-19. We'll look at how to integrate this with website and Slack chatbot. So entities are the things that the bot identifies in the question that you give. So let's say landmark is something that is a part of the question, which deals about the place where you're at, or if you mention a place in your question, it identifies that place as a landmark. So you can give more examples here. Times Square, you can, let's say, Charminar, and Hyderabad, okay, something like that. And dialogue, the system entities are the entities that Watson provides by default: person, location, time, date, currency. And dialogue is where the interesting stuff happens. So in intention entities, you have defined the things. Here is where you put them into play. So greeting is a dialogue which says whenever I recognize an intent which falls under the greeting category, please respond with please give the user this response, is what this means. So it is a very user-friendly GUI view that IBM provides. Dialogflow also has a similar view, but not as so visual as IBM has. So let's see how many cases. So this is a special kind of dialogue which makes use of something called a webhook. We'll go through this in a little while. And so that is to the dialogue. So I hope this is clear about IBM. What is IBM Watson doing here? So let's take a look at how to integrate with web chat. Integrating with the web chat comes under the plus plan. So it is a fancy way of saying that I'll take care of your website by IBM Watson, but there is something called a preview link. If you activate preview link, you can chat with the bot in something which what looks like a web page and integrate the same on your web page as well. So here you can see a sample of the chatbot, how it looks on your web page. Okay, what is coronavirus? Let's I'd like to take a look at the questions if I have any. It's not free, Arun. As I told you, the light plan gives you free resources up to an extent, but there are limits to which up to which you can use it for free. After that, you'll have to pay for it. So the same thing goes with the web chat integration, which is a plus plan, which comes on a plus plan. Can we implement this chatbots in Android? So this chatbot gives you integration like I told you. You can, if you look at the integrations here, we have integrations for Facebook Messenger, Slack, and intercom. So if you see here, there is something called custom application. This is where you would have to go ahead and do your research about. If you look at the API overview, it gives an API so to which you can connect from your Android chatbot, but you'll have to design your front end and keep calling the API in the backend. I think I answered your question, Nick. Yes, Prithvi, you're correct. Some are free, but there is a limit on some. Okay, so going back, um, So I have integrated into something called Slack. Slack is a workspace which is designed for people collaborating on various projects. I have 3D. I have created my own workspace. I'll log into that to show like how the bot looks like in Slack. So we are almost halfway through the time. So we have looked at the integration preferring. We are looking at the Slackbot integration. So this is the chatbot that I have added. In Slack, you have something called apps. So from these apps, you can install this chatbot into your environment. So as you see here, I have typed in what is, let's say, what happens if I say what is coronavirus. Okay, it is hitting some other link. So I think this is going to the Watson News API. Um, we'll look at Watson Discovery News API shortly. So basically, this is how Slack looks like and how the chatbot in Slack looks like. Yeah, and setting up this chatbot on Slack takes around 15 to 20 minutes at max. Following, if you follow all the instructions that he has given here, you just need to create your own app. With it, I'll just show you how to create that. I'll just give an overview of where you can create your own app. So this is where you create a new app for Slack, and you have to provide the details of IBM Watson. Um, so Watson Assistant gives you few tokens or app credentials. So you have to copy the credentials from your Slack chatbot to here, and after you give the app credentials and uh, OAuth access tokens, it will give you um, a request URL. You can put this request URL in Slack. I'll just show you where I put that in my chatbot, and you have to enable uh, enable that, install that app into your workspace, and then it will start working. So OAuth and permissions is where you see the required OAuth tokens that needs to be copied over to Watson. Incoming webhooks is where you give the request URL. Okay, webhook is what you configure in IBM Watson, and okay. So basically, you have to copy this into the event subscriptions tab, so that every time you send a message, it creates an event, and this is a scope. You mention the scope of the events whenever the bot is mentioned and whenever there's a message, and the bot calls this URL, request URL from IBM Watson to get the response. You can do the same thing with Facebook Messenger as well, but for creating an app on Facebook Messenger, it's not so straightforward. You need to create an app and then give it to review to Facebook reviewers. They're gonna review your app and get back to you on any questions that they might have. It might take about a week before you can get approval on your app, and then it will be live, and then you can start interacting with your app. And that is the reason that I chose to go with Slack instead of Facebook Messenger. But Feel free to uh, f- uh, go through the instructions that you have here. They're not uh, pretty hard. Yeah, Aaron. We can generate APK for the chatbot creating through. Like I just mentioned before, there is an API available for integrations with other applications. If you see here, uh, IBM Watson provides you the API. You cannot generate an API because it's um, IBM Watson is a tool that is created by IBM Watson. Uh, so you won't have access to their resources, but definitely you can use this API, Watson Assistant API, uh, to make calls to IBM Watson from your backend. I hope I answered your question. So with that, I'd like to take you to IBM Discovery News API. Yeah, got it. So, so IBM Discovery News is a service that provides very large data sets for IBM News. You can query IBM Discovery to get information about latest data sets, or you can upload your own data sets and query on them. It basically categorizes, understands the documents. It is an NLP based tool which identifies like you can say patterns in your documents, and can answer questions based on that. So I also have a you know instance of IBM Discovery News running on Light Plan. So it allows me to create one instance of IBM Discovery News. Let me go through the IBM Discovery. So the API key and URL are the credentials that you use to connect to IBM Discovery. We will be providing these two credentials in IBM Watson chatbot in a while. So they should be kept secret. Please avoid sharing these credentials anywhere online, especially the API key, because anyone can use your resources with if they get hold of the API key. So I have two data sets here. One is Watson Discovery News that is provided by Watson Discovery, and Story Chunks is my own data that I have uploaded as a CSV file. It has all the text that I have uploaded 42 documents. These 42 documents are like 42 books that I have uploaded about Star Wars for my college project. Watson Discovery News is by default provided by IBM Watson for everyone. You can see this once you open IBM Watson Discovery in your account as well. So IBM Watson Discovery has these many documents, and this number keeps on increasing every day. So because these are the news that are currently published online, this is not a static number that we have like here in our own data set. So whenever we ask a question in our IBM Watson chatbot, we are going to hit the API, which is going to look at all these documents and provide an answer. So if you look at the API here, the collection ID and the environment ID are the credentials that we use to connect to this dataset. And let me show how to integrate or connect our chatbot with Watson API. So for the question of regarding the API, these are the API endpoints. that you can use to hit IBM Watson. Okay. Uh, so this is the messaging endpoint. You give the text here as hello, and you get the response back in JSON. And coming to the integration with Discovery News API, so I have here uh, let's go to the dialog. You have to go to dialog and click on the dialog which you want to integrate with IBM Watson. If you go click on customize, you can see you can enable or disable webhook here. So the webhook URL needs to be configured. Um, Give me a second. So after after that, we need to create something called cloud function, which um, to get the webhook here that I've showed you in dialog. So you can see there is a webhook URL which is configured. If you look at the options, this is the URL. That is webhook is a fancy term which invokes a function in some other place based on your functions. Let's say your dialog here is a function, and that function is invoking some other function which is available on IBM functions. So if you go to IBM Cloud Functions, let me open a service for IBM Cloud Functions. IBM Cloud Functions is a service which is provided by Watson for deploying functions. You might have heard about the term called serverless. So it is uh, it is the highest level of abstraction for after IaaS in infrastructure as a service and platform as a service and service software as a service, and above that you have function as a service. Let me see where I have functions. See it here. So I can log into IBM Cloud Functions. So looking back at the page that we are at, we are done with Watson Assistant, creating Watson Assistants and Discovery News API. We are going to create a function now, IBM function, and then integrate Watson Assistant with that so that it can communicate with Discovery API. So to communicate with Discovery API, we do not have a direct link. We need to create this function, and then through that function, we need to call the Discovery API. I hope I'm clear. So I have an action created. So IBM functions are called actions. So action is nothing but just a JavaScript file which I have deployed here. So what this does is based on the type of the request. If it is an API, we are going to call this API called COVID-19API.com, which provides answers or the this is a response that we get COVID-19 from COVID-19 API. So it is a real-time API which is tracking all the details about COVID-19. So you can make a call like this. It is free for everyone. You can make a call like this and get a response like this about which country. Let's say Afghanistan has a total of 5 confirmed cases. This is just a sample. These are not the real things. But if you actually go to the API, you can see the actual statistics here. So this is just information about the API. If you go to the summary endpoint, so it gives you all the details about the number of cases. Let's say Armenia is a country which has total of 1159 confirmed cases, one new death and 18 total deaths. You can find India also here. So we have new 1100 confirmed cases, and there are total of 13,000 confirmed cases in India, 13,000 as per this API statistics. So we are going to use that API here. So if the user asks something specific about how many cases are there, how many COVID-19 cases are there, we are gonna hit this API and then parse the response that we get from the API and provide the user the specific response that we have so many total cases, so many deaths, and so many have recovered from so and so source. Whereas if the request is not API, we are going to hit the Watson Discovery service, and Watson Discovery will give us the generic links or generic information from Watson News. So we have to provide few parameters for this function, which are the details about our Watson Discovery service. So this is the API key that I have mentioned before for Watson API. If you go back, you can see that there. And this is the URL. This is the API key that I asked you not to show anyone. Okay, so I'm not going to show you as well. uh, okay, and the collection ID and the environment ID can be obtained from here. Okay, so once you configure them with that, you can go to endpoints and see, look at this endpoint. This is the endpoint generated for our webhook. This is the endpoint, that is what I have given here in the Watson assistant, Watson chatbot assistant. So now when I go to let's say Slack, did I close the Slack? Okay, okay, let me do it here itself. Let's say how many cases are there in US. So now it says total number of cases are so and so. There are around 6 lakhs. Sorry, okay, 6,67,293 cases in US, 32,900 deaths, and 54,000 people who have recovered. And if this is, as you see, this is coming from the webhook because you are looking at the specific details and the numbers. Whereas if you look at something generic like um, how to, is there a vaccine? Is there a vaccine for coronavirus? So this is a question. So this is classifying this as coronavirus based on this entity. I'll just ask, is there a vaccine yet? Oh no, this is not going well. So can you tell me about corona vaccine? Okay, so we haven't prepared our chatbot for the vaccine. Let me clear the context and then try again. Is there a vaccine available? This is misclassifying the input. So usually it should go to, if it does not understand, it should go to Discovery News and then fetches the results. So what is the status? I'll say, I'll classify it as irrelevant. Okay, as irrelevant. Okay. So now that it is whenever it looks at something that it thinks is irrelevant, it is gonna go hit the discovery news API. Irrelevant is something that is the default intent, you can say. So now the what's this training, after training is done, we can ask the same question again. It is gonna hit the discovery news API. So meanwhile, I'll go ahead with IBM Cloud Functions. We are done with our IBM Cloud Functions. We have configured our chatbot, and that's why you're able to look at these results here. And I'll give you an introduction to Node-RED. Meanwhile, IBM Node-RED. So we are done with creating COVID-19 API, discovery news, functions, and the data source is nothing but discovery news and COVID-19 API that we have followed here. You can also have your own data source using Cloudent database in IBM. Cloudent is the MySQL version that IBM provides. It is just a fancy name that IBM has given. Let's look at Node-RED and speech to text. So you pretty much have all the things that you need to create a chatbot. You have the UI, you have the API, you have the backend. So you can integrate with your Facebook Messenger. Does this API provide correct data? How do you know that? Okay. COVID-19 API is in collaboration. It's an open source API. I'm not sure how correct it is because in the light of current events, we don't even we cannot even be sure about the data that government is giving us about the numbers. So this is I am not sure if the source not sure about the sources that COVID-19 API is built upon, but you can try to dig a little bit more about like who is backing this project. uh, I think this project is being used by Emergent Ventures and is being created by some guy called Kyle Redlingius. I'm not sure how to pronounce that even. So yeah, please. This became came into light because a lot of people started using it. I guess because IBM has suggested that as a part of IBM call for code, which we'll be discussing about in a short while. So, but I'm not sure like what are the exact sources behind this. Okay. Okay, take you through because we just have 10 minutes left. I'll take you through Node-RED, how to integrate the chatbot with Node-RED and what Node-RED is, and then give you a hint about IBM Call for Code 2020, and then leave you there for questions if you have any. Okay, IBM Node-RED. I think Arun has a question. Can you create chatbot with voice? Yes, that is what I'm gonna take you through, Arun, uh, using Node-RED. No, Node-RED okay, provides integration for speech to text and text to speech. So if you go to catalog, you can search for Node-RED. So Node-RED is a service which is like very GUI sort of looks like GUI, but it has a very good graphical user interface that you can play with. Let me show you how to create this first. Okay, so I have one free instance with a limit of 256 MB per instance because I'm using a light plan. I cannot go beyond that. And that is this is a major concern for Node-RED because usually most of the apps consume more than 256 MB of memory, and that is the problem with my app as well. So I'll rather show you. I'll rather show you like what I created. This is the app URL I'll open. Um, so this is a flow-based programming. So usually you might have seen uh, some Microsoft tools like Power BI or Azure ML which gives you a GUI for creating machine learning models. And as Node-RED is also similar on similar lines. It's a flow-based programming for Internet of Things, is what they say, because it works very well, pretty well with Internet of Things, but it is definitely not confined for Internet of Things, because as you see already here, we are integrating two big services from IBM Watson, which are not edge services but very large services by themselves. So Node-RED is just a service which integrates different services using very good flow-based programming, flow-based editor. It seems it's taking a bit of time here. I'll show you how it looks. Uh, Tutorials, crisis, crisis communication, chatbot, Watson, assistant, webhook, integration, discovery, COVID data. So this is the starter kit that IBM has provided for something called IBM Call for Code 2020. So this is a chance for people to come and submit their ideas so that they can be funded by IBM Watson if they get chosen. So I recommend everyone to take a look at it and take up the challenge. So it's for this year they have three three areas where you can contribute to, or where you can compete, if you say. So the three areas are mainly pertaining to the COVID-19. One of I'm trying to identify where they have, okay, user certificates. Okay, so this is the timeline. It started March 20. I started on March 20, which is not even a month. So the first initial submission deadline is on April 27th. It is just 10 days from now, maybe 9 days. So you have to submit, like I have shown you. You can choose one of these three areas. Crisis communication is comes under the chatbot. The chatbot comes under crisis communication, where uh, uh, people get flooded with all the miscommunication and wrong fake news online. So if you can create a chatbot that can tackle the situation and provide only the correct information to the end user without any tampering, that is what they are looking at in crisis communication area. Remote education is something that is useful, especially for school students now, because all the schools and colleges have been closed for this year. IBM is looking for solutions which can enable the schools continue the education to the students uh, throughout situations like this. And community cooperation is something that let's say Zoom is something that we use to collaborate with ourselves. So if you have any suggestions or ideas to build some platform like that, you're welcome to take a look at this area. So let's look at what they have for crisis communication. So if you see here, these are the tutorials that I have. I have taken you through this tutorial now, and also this one, and also this one, and also this one. So you have pretty much covered all these things. So each of these, as estimated, it takes 40, 30, 20, 30, almost 2 hours, but we have managed to cover that in 1 hour, I guess. So where is Node-RED? Come on, Node-RED. Okay, so this is how Node-RED looks like. So if you see here, these are all the functions which you can use. We have one for IBM Watson. So you can create connect assistant and discovery news. So there is text to speech and speech to text options also. So how you're gonna connect that is with you can let me just show you how to import an existing solution here. Can These are called flows, as they have mentioned that it is a flow based programming editor. Okay, I just want to show you how what Node-RED looks like. Okay, so this is okay. The catch here is we can import this flow. This is how it looks like, and once we are done with that, we can expect to see something like this. So whenever you get a message from microphone, what it says is whenever you use microphone, convert it from the speech to text and then send it to Watson, and then give it back to the user from using text to speech and play the audio. So once we are done with that, we should be able to see something like this. So if you see, you can hit the microphone here and then say your query, and then you're gonna get hear the query back. And also you can see a small dashboard here which shows little gauges for the number of cases that you have on number of deaths, where basically the results that you get back. So I strongly suggest you go through this. This is all very interesting stuff, and also very much related to what's going on a global scale right now. Try to pour your ideas in, no matter how small they are, how big they are. Try to contribute a little something. I think from a little something from everyone is gonna make it significant enough. Yeah, I'll ask. I'll share all the material that I've shown you to Rupesh, and Rupesh will be circulating that back to everyone. I hope I'd like to end this here. We are spot on time, so I'd like to take this over. I mean, uh, open the stage for questions if you have, and maybe over to Rupesh if you want to say something. Any criticism or suggestions or comments are allowed. Please feel free to type into chat or unmute yourself and speak out.